Egg freezing is the fastest growing fertility treatment in the UK. It offers women the chance to slow their biological clocks. Its rising popularity is levelling the playing field between men and women. But British law currently puts a 10-year limit on the length of time that women can store their eggs for. But women are fighting back. They say that this arbitrary law discriminates against them.
Yet another deadline that's placed upon women.
I paid for these. Why do I have to put more money in to then send them somewhere else?
It's forcing women to make a difficult decision, to start a family before they're ready, or to miss the chance of ever becoming biological mothers. Unlike medical fertility treatment, social egg freezing is a choice that women make because they're not yet ready to have children. They're likely to be single women who haven't found the right partner or who aren't financially or emotionally ready to start a family. It's these women who face the 10-year limit. Carolyn chose to freeze her eggs in 2010. She was in her late 30s, she was single, but she knew she wanted to have a child one day. Despite the cost, the decision to undergo egg freezing was a relatively simple one for Carolyn.
I looked into it when I was about 35 and 36 because I was single and I knew I wanted to have a child, but I was worried about the pressure it would put on a new relationship, the sort of ticking time bomb of your fertility. Emotionally, it was empowering. I'm really glad I did it. And then for the next few years, I was so relieved that I had done it. And then I did meet my partner and then we did try and have a baby, and then I had 4 miscarriages. And going through all of those miscarriages, I was so relieved that I had those frozen eggs if I needed them for later on.
But because of the 10-year limit, this reassurance could only last for a decade. I've come to IVI Clinic to meet with reproductive scientist Eleanor Galagos. I'm hoping she can explain why the 10-year limit was introduced and why some people think it's outdated.
The 10-year limit was introduced in 1990, and this is when the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Act was introduced. So when clinics first started doing egg freezing, a technique called slow freezing was used, and although this did result in successful live births, the survival rate of the eggs was very low.
But this is not the case now.
So since the 10-year limit was introduced, the technology that we use to freeze eggs has improved enormously. So this means that the survival rate for eggs is a lot higher than it was back in 1990. Additionally, when eggs are frozen, they're frozen at minus 196 degrees Celsius and they're kept in liquid nitrogen. So this completely halts the development of the egg. So biologically, they're just kept in the same state. So there's really no evidence that the eggs will decline in quality.
The Extend the Limit campaign is working to change this law. They're calling on the UK government to give women more choice around when they can use their eggs. Sarah Norcross spearheads the campaign. She says that the law is in urgent need of being updated. Otherwise, for some women, it will be too late.
The law is always a slow beast in this area, and it's always catching up with the science. And so this is why we're sort of very keen to make this message heard by government, because they need to update the Act so that it's not penalising women who are trying to improve their reproductive choices in the future years.
So what options does this leave women like Carolyn?
So when I went for my first meeting about egg freezing, the clinic told me that there was this 10-year limit, but the way they put it to me was, they said, well, look, that's a long way in the future, and the law is arbitrary, and we expect that by the time the 10 years comes around for you, the law will have changed, because it's a ridiculous law, so it was bound to get changed in the future. And then about a year before the cut-off point, the clinic got in touch and warned me that the cut-off point was coming and that the eggs would get destroyed and my options were to turn them into embryos or to move them abroad or let them get destroyed.
By this point, Carolyn had had her 3-year-old daughter, and she'd decided that she probably wasn't going to have more children. But she wanted to move her eggs to Spain to stop them from being destroyed.
The idea that I was going to lose all of these eggs I'd spent 10 grand on freezing because of an arbitrary law annoyed me. And I thought, you never know what the future holds. And as much as I'm probably not going to use them, I'm going to just move them anyway because it's possible, and why not? Moving the eggs was not straightforward, mainly because it was really hard to find a clinic that would take them. Most clinics would only take them if you were willing to fly to the country, have an initial appointment and start fertility treatment with them immediately.
Spain is a popular European location for egg freezing because of its less restrictive laws. Women can socially freeze and store their eggs for 50 years. In America, the law is even more flexible. There's currently no legal limit on how long eggs can be stored. Valerie's an American egg freezing expert and activist. She's chosen to undergo social egg retrieval 3 times, each round involving 2 weeks of self-administered hormonal injections. She advocates for how empowering the process can be. She's devastated that women in the UK face a 10-year limit, and she thinks it's time that Britain caught up.
It's essentially a tease. The 10-year limit is one big tease, because here you've frozen your eggs and you have this potential for the future, but now we're taking it away from you because 10 years went by and you didn't make a choice. So it's really, 10 years is not enough, and there should be no time limit. It's ridiculous that we put any kind of time limit on it.
But there could also be more risks if the limit was removed.
I think if there was no limit, there would be huge health risks, because for a woman it's not healthy for her to get pregnant if she's in her 70s. The risk of complications, are really high. So in terms of safety for health, I think that's maybe one reason why the limit has been kept in place. Also, if a woman was to come and freeze her eggs in her 40s, then the chance of her actually having a healthy live birth from the egg would be very low. So I think in their 40s is fine. But if we extend the limit too much, then it would just be dangerous for women to be getting pregnant at that age.
The Extend the Limit campaign has played a really important role in putting egg storage limits on the public agenda. In fact, it was only in May this year that the government launched the public consultation to discuss a possible extension of that 10-year limit. But of course, these talks have been put on hold as a result of coronavirus. Baroness Ruth Deach has been talking in Parliament on behalf of the campaign.
I've introduced a private member's bill into Parliament. I've persuaded the Department of Health to consult on this. And all of those who are interested are waiting anxiously for the department to come forward with an answer. And we need all to urge the government to get on with this and extend the limit. There's no reason why they shouldn't.
We contacted the Department of Health and Social Care for an interview, but they told us that they couldn't comment on the 10-year limit at this time. For now, it's a waiting game to hear the result of the consultation. But with 2020 seeing a peak in popularity in social egg freezing, the 10-year limit is negatively affecting more women now than ever before. Experts and activists say it's vital that the limit's extended so that less women are left disappointed in the future.
If Matt Hancock believes in reproductive choice for women, he changed the 10-year limit now to give women better options.
When it's frozen, it stops the clock. So why are we putting a time limit on the clock?
There's every reason, based on compassion, health and equality, why they should extend that limit and do it soon.